All right, so now that we've got the other side of this, the pump island done with some brake lines, we're going to look at the sidewalk. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my view filter manager, and I'm going to turn on the proposed sidewalk, which is my 2D line, right? We drew that in the 2D section, and when I select on it, you can see that it is basically a closed shape. Same thing down here. This is a closed shape because we wanted to get the area of that. Now these are 2D lines. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy these to a new layer. So I'm actually going to show you another command here. So by selecting both the sidewalks, so I'm going to hold my control key down, select both of those, and I'm going to go to the CAD tab and I'm going to click on copy. I've got the two objects I want to copy. You'll notice that there's a checkbox here that says relayer copied objects. So I'm going to go ahead and select on that, and I'm going to put this on a new layer. So this yellow dot just shows you that layer is turned off, so that's fine. I'm going to hit the space bar, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new layer called TO-sidewalk-3D, and we'll go ahead and we'll keep the color the same. We'll make it cyan, and we'll give it a thickness of let's see, so 35. Protect it, and we also want to put this on the proposed 3D layer. So I'm going to close this, and now that's on that layer. And when I click apply, it's now going to ask me where I want to copy these from and to. Now I want to copy them basically in the same place that they are. So I always use basically a 0, 0 to 0, 0. And that just basically copies them from, basically in place. Now if I was doing an offset, I wanted to raise them up in elevation, I could use this command here. I'm not, so I'm going to click apply. So now what that did was it copied those lines to that layer. Now if I turn off this sidewalk layer, you can see that now I have these lines and they're on my 3D layer. Okay. So now I need to elevate these. So I'm going to show you some new commands here as well. So I'm going to zoom in over here, and first thing I can see is that this sidewalk crosses my curb. So I might have a little bit of an issue there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this guy back along that line just to get him inside that curb. Okay. Over here, I've got my contour that's crossing as well. So what I might do here is just pull this guy back over into here, and that's good enough. Now, I need to elevate this. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to edit. Now it's not a constant elevation because you can see I've got some contour lines that it crosses. And it looks like I'm tying into existing ground here because my proposed ground surface ends there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here at this point here. I'm going to go to horizontal tab first, and you can see it's on my starting point, which is the red dot. I'm going to set that to the elevation of this curb line right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say a long line snap. I'm going to pick this line string, and I'm just going to pick right there. So you can see that it sets it at 23,372, and that is where that curve ties in up in here. Okay. Now I want to set the handicap ramp here. Now if we take a look at our detail from our plan set, it's page 26. We've got some max. We got some 8.33%, some 2% either way, right? So our ramp can't be any greater than 8.33%. So with that in mind, what we can do is start with maybe not go to the max. Maybe we just set it to 5%, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to my vertical tab, and I'm going to put a VPI in here. Now instead of just choosing elevation, I'm going to switch this to incoming slope, because I want the incoming slope from the starting point to this point, which is right here, to be 5%. So I'm going to put in 5% and I'm going to click save. So that sets that point and it gives us basically an elevation. Looks like it's 23.7. And then I'm going to come over here and I can see I got this contour line. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to set this to, I could set it to 2%. I'm just going to pick elevation because I want it to tie into this. So I'm going to pick here, and that elevation is going to be that contour line, which is 24. Now, before I go any further, I want to verify that I don't have a greater than 2% in here. And I can do that using this explore object command. So we haven't seen this one yet. This explore object command lets me look at an object, and you can see it's showing my distance as my cursor moves along it, and an elevation. Now if I pick somewhere along that line, so I'm going to pick between this contour line and this one, and it gives me some information. It gives me a distance along, and where I picked was the offset, an elevation at that point, and an instantaneous slope. So you can see that I'm not greater than 2%. That's probably good. I'm better than 0.5% going this way. As I come back around, my cross slope will be 2%, hopefully, and I'll be good, right? Again, splitting hairs maybe, but just trying to be somewhat accurate with my information. So I just want to make sure that I'm not way off, I guess is what I'm trying to accomplish here. So now I can put in another elevation point. So I'm going to put an elevation point here, and that one's going to be 25. And I kind of do the same thing. I can come back up to this explore object and click here, and I can see that, you know, from that contour to that contour, I'm at 1.36. So I'm good there. Now I don't have to close this because I may want to come back to it. Something else I didn't show you is that you can pull this down and switch back to the line string, edit line string command. Over here, I'm going to hopefully tie into the existing surface. So I do have some contour lines, right, that I may have put in here. So one of the things you can do is if I just do this for the elevation, I can right click and say from surface snap, and then the surface is going to be my original ground, and then I want it to get the elevation at that point. So you can see it pulled in this 2540.41. So that should match my existing ground. I can do the same thing here, right click, from surface snap, I'm going to choose the original ground, and I'm going to pick that point right there. And now that should match the original ground, right? Now it all depends on how good my existing ground surface was. It'll be close, but maybe not exact. So now we'll come down here and I'm going to put in a point there. That's going to be 25. And I'm going to come down here and we'll go ahead and put this one in here, which is going to be 24. And then we'll come back here and I'm going to pick this point here. And to get this elevation, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to change this one here. I'm actually going to change this to outgoing slope. And I'm going to pick this point right here. And my outgoing slope, we'll keep it at 5%, just like we did the other one. So it's going to be a -5. And I'll hit save. Okay. And then I'm going to switch back to my elevation. And I'm going to pick this corner. And we're going to set that to 23, which is this contour line. And I'm going to click save on that one. So that one's 23. It should adjust this one to be the correct slope. And then I've got my contour or my sidewalk in there. So if I look at it, I can see here that I've got my ramp, I've got my sidewalk, and it's all tying in. Okay. So again, might be a little bit more detailed than needed, but what's going to happen is when I use this sidewalk, it's going to pull my proposed surface out to this area over here. Okay. So I'm going to have to repeat this process for this sidewalk over here. So I'm going to close this guy out, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to use the elevations from my curb line, go set elevation points at 8% here, and then I can set these elevation points at 2%. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Just see it, show it to you again. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to edit, I'm going to go to horizontal first, and there's my starting point. So that one's already back. That's good. My elevation is going to be along this line, and we'll just grab that point there. So 22.4. Now I can come over here and let's see what I may have some existing surface there, so that should tie into that existing ground, but maybe there's no sidewalk yet. So I'm going to switch back to vertical, and let's go to horizontal, figure out. All right, so we're going this way. So vertical, my outgoing slope, or incoming slope, sorry, at this particular point is going to be, let's just go 5%. We can go 8, but let's go 5. This one here, my incoming slope, I'm just going to set it to 2 because that's my max. This one here, I can also set to 2. Or actually, my incoming is going to be -2. Only because I'm cross sloping it and draining it that way. And then let's see this guy here. My incoming, or I could do my outgoing slope as 8 or 5. Sorry, we did 5, -5, because it's going down. And then if I set this one to elevation, and again the elevation coming from the line of my curb, right there, and save. Then because the rest of these are all based off of slope, they'll get an elevation that is defined properly. So if I look at my 3D view, I can see, looks like I've got some slope over there, okay, and took a little bit of design initiative on that part, but really more of showing you the tool of how you could use this. And again, depends on how much detail you want. So now that I have that, takeoff, categorize, unknown, back over to sidewalk. We're going to put that on the design. Now when I pick my surface, right click and rebuild, now you can see my surface ties out and it picks up the sidewalk. So again, looking at it in the 3D view, we can see, looking for basically any major errors, any major anomalies, spikes, stuff like that. Just making sure that I don't have anything really weird going on. Now the next step here would be, at least in the 3D data prep portion of this, I know we're not doing data prep, we're doing takeoff, but you could consider some of this, you're prepping this for takeoff, is to put in a surface boundary, because we want to, we're not doing any real work outside of this, outside maybe this area in here. So we can put in a boundary, maybe we are, but I want to show you how to clean up some of these contours. So maybe, we don't do any grading over here, but maybe we are. It's, would be the next step to finish it off by putting in a boundary around our finished design surface, which we could then also use that boundary to define our topsoil takeoff, or our topsoil. So we'll show you that in the next couple of videos.